The government just reported that 171,000 jobs were created in October and the unemployment rate inched up to 7.9%. I'm Jill Schlesinger from CBS MoneyWatch. I'm joined by Jack Otter from MoneyWatch and by Brian Montopoli, who is our political guru at CBSNews.com. Let me start with you, Jack. How are these numbers?
They're pretty good. Obviously, they're not where we'd really like to be coming out of a recession, but up 171,000. Actually, the private sector created 184,000, as you and I have talked about. Government keeps on slashing jobs, so that's what kept it down to 171. And the reason we went up from 7.8 to 7.9% unemployment was actually a good reason. More people are out there looking for work. It sounds like they're getting more confident. And across many sectors, we saw gains in work. So again, that's a good sign. So
Brian, how does this play out on the election trail?
Well, I've always been a skeptic of this idea that the American people are looking really carefully at the jobs number. I mean, I think most people, if they're concerned about the economy, they're concerned about the economy for themselves. Do I have a job? Does my family, are we able to feed our family? But I will say this, the fact that number's at 7.9 instead of 8, there's something psychological about 8. I mean, Romney was hitting 8 over and over on the trail when it was above 8. So the fact that we're going into Election Day with unemployment below 8, it's sort of from a big perspective, not a huge deal, but from sort of a psychological perspective, I think just that 0.1 percentage point is kind of big thing for the president.
And Jack, we're coming off the days after Sandy has hit, and what might that impact of this storm have in the next couple of reports when it comes to the Labor Department?
Sure. Well, on the one hand, as devastating as this storm was, in a $15 trillion economy, it's probably not huge. I was talking to a friend of mine, though, who runs a wealth management firm. He had an interesting point, which was the stimulus that we're going to get from Sandy is coming out of what's called retained earnings that insurance companies have. Basically, we give them our money until something bad happens and they give it back to us. And so he thinks it's actually the best kind of stimulus because it's our own money. It's not the Fed printing money. It's not borrowing money. It's money that's just been sitting there basically doing nothing and bonds paying zero, and now it's coming back in the economy. So I think that will help just a little bit. The bad stuff was this week. The good stuff will happen over the next few quarters as we see more construction jobs, more people buying cars to replace the ones that were destroyed.
And on the political trail, Brian, I mean, this has been a devastating storm. We had President Obama visiting New Jersey with Governor Christie. They looked like pals. They were like, in fact, I thought they were going to have a beer together at the end of the day. How's this playing politically?
Well, the president looked good. I mean, there was a poll that had, I think it was about 74% of folks said he handled this well. Now, for Obama to get 74% in any context and with how polarized we are, obviously suggests that his performance was well reviewed. It also meant essentially 3 days with either no campaigning or very little attention to the campaign, a week before the election, which is unprecedented. And it was really tough for Mitt Romney. There was a perception, whether it was legitimate or not, that Romney had a little bit of momentum. This really stopped that. And now it's interesting to watch the campaign trail because, you watch these rallies, we've had folks talking to people in the crowds, and the excitement level, it's just down a little bit. It seems like people are just exhausted. They were focused on this storm, and now they're sort of back to the campaign. We've been doing this for a year and a half, 2 years, and people are just like, enough. So it's hard to say how that plays out. It's hard to say what impact that has on enthusiasm, but certainly taken in a vacuum, I think the storm was probably better for the president than it was for Mitt Romney, politically, of course.
Of course, and we will keep you up to date with just days to go before the election. Stay right here at CBSNews.com for continuing coverage. Thanks for watching.